Hello. Some of you who are art critics might have some things to say in the negative about this mural, which is on the end of a row of terraced houses in Glasgow. But somebody has found a new criticism of this piece of street art. They're calling it hostile and provocative. Oh, do me a favour. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. As for my criticism of the artwork, it is flat and trite. As for the instrument the gentleman is playing, bagpipes are the only instrument in the world that are out of tune with themselves. So the skirl, I think it's called, of the bagpipes doesn't move me too much. So I thought maybe somebody was calling it hostile and provocative because they were from a clan which is at war with this particular clan. This is the, so far as I can tell, the McFarlane tartan. But alas, even that explanation is not of much use because the McFarlanes are no longer an official clan. I mean, they are an official clan. They are what's called armigerous. That is, they don't have a clan chief. The name persists, but the clan is, as an organisation, is no longer valid. I think not since the 19th century, maybe even the 18th century. So I can't believe that anyone is particularly angry with the McFarlanes. So what's the problem? Well, let's have a look here. A concerned citizen calls this hostile and provocative. The work by artist Dan McDermott of Spraywell Murals, I'll make a note of that, was unveiled in October last year as the final piece of art in phase 1 of the Cardonald Murals trail. The image covers 3 stories at the end of a tenement block. Sorry, I just can't resist this. It used to be on a bungalow, but then they extended it. But that's another story. Okay. On the corner of Paisley Road West and Moss Park Boulevard, and depicts a man playing the bagpipes in full Highland dress. That's the first time I've heard of bagpipes being in full Highland dress, but there you have one of those examples of not watching your language properly. With a stag and Highland cow in the background. How Scottish can you get? And this was considered by this concerned citizen hostile and provocative. Well, as I should imagine that the concerned citizen is somebody who isn't that interested in Scottish culture. And it's another attempt to call into question cultural heritage of any sort in this country. The petition on change.org has been started by someone only known as concerned citizen, hiding behind a mask. That sounds familiar. With them saying the image is an absolute eyesore and deeply out of place. Of course, a picture of a bagpiper in Scotland, in Glasgow of all places. Of course, that's very much out of place. I suppose the Italian restaurant here, just below it, that isn't out of place, of course, is it? They say it's not a reflection of the surrounding area, but also say the mural feels hostile and provocative towards Italian restaurant Bella Vita, which is located next to it, and is causing community tensions and upset. So they are actually blaming the Italian restaurant for all of this. I very much doubt it. I can't see that it's the Italians who, having set up shop in Glasgow, serving Scots mostly, would object to a Scottish bagpiper in large, writ large, outside their restaurant. This mural feels hostile and provocative towards an Italian-owned business that has proudly displayed an Italian flag outside its door for years. That's fine. It is perfectly reasonable for an Italian restaurant to display an Italian flag. Why is it therefore hostile and provocative for a Scottish emblem in the middle of a Scottish town? It's imposing a very narrow-minded view of Scotland and very stereotypical view, which again is not reflective of its surroundings. And they're calling on Mr. McDermott, the mural painter, to apologise to Bella Vita. The paper here says they don't know if the staff at Bella Vita actually sparked this off, but I do seriously doubt it. As somebody who owns an Italian restaurant in Glasgow would be quite accustomed to the idea of serving pasta mostly to Scottish people. So, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. But I can imagine that this particular depiction of a man who is holding what's left of a sheep and inserting something into his mouth might have offended somebody who thinks that the whole process should have been the other way round. But enough of that. I'm going to be talking about immigration generally. You see, I saw this in the Telegraph, and it says here, Britain must rely on immigration to boost its birth rate. It's by Lucy Burton, an employment editor in the Telegraph, and says, a rise in women choosing to have children later in life means Britain must rely on immigration to boost its birth rate. And I thought, it says here, instead, the UK and other ageing nations must turn to foreign-born mothers to boost population growth, she said. And that may sound all right, superficially. I mean, it may sound all right to somebody who's so intelligent they'd believe anything. But let's look at it properly. The people who are coming in on the dinghies in their millions, literally in their millions, they're all men, not really what you'd call breeders. The women just aren't coming, are they? And unless babies are being forced on British women, then this isn't going to change the birth rate. So I thought and it says the official fertility rate was a record low of 1.44 births per woman. And meanwhile, the fertility rate for foreign-born mothers has jumped to 2.3 children per woman. Yeah, but there aren't that many foreign-born women, are there? They're all men. And men are a dead end when it comes to breeding, really. Prof Harper said, we have to... Who's Prof Harper? Oh, Sarah Harper, Professor of Gerontology at Oxford University. Oh, well, Oxford University. That tells us everything, doesn't it? Professor Harper said, we have to accept that we're going to be in low fertility societies, and the only we can compensate, there's a bit of a typo there, for is that by looking at migration. Perhaps there might be another answer. Do you think it's possible that people are not having children because they're demoralised? And that's the indigenous British population. Recently, there's a series called Adolescence going on, and it's about the... how can I put this so I'll still get this video out on YouTube? It's about a violent action that a young 13-year-old boy who's been watching... I haven't seen it, so this is the information I've gathered. He's been watching too many Andrew Tate videos or Instagrams or whatever, and he ends up being terminally violent to a schoolgirl. Now, it's a white boy, an ordinary indigenous English type white boy. When, as we all know, there have been some pretty awful examples from Indigenous white boys. I'm not saying that this hasn't happened, but it seems that the actual event which is recorded here happened between a chap who was not an Indigenous white boy. And there have been a couple of recent examples of this sort of activity from non-Indigenous people. But they chose a white kid. In fact, when anything is going to be bad, it's going to be a white kid. They're not going to show somebody of darker hue doing bad things. And from the occasional clips I've seen about this television show, there's a black policeman interrogating, or questioning rather, the kid. Well, this whole situation is a demoralising situation. It's just adding little bits of demoralisation, as is this. It's the saying that this Italian here, flying the Italian flag, to which I have no objection whatsoever, might feel threatened by a Scottish symbol. And the Scots are supposed to just accept the Italian flag without feeling that there's anything hostile about it, which of course there is not. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but there are so many clots on the internet just waiting to take offence. I have to keep qualifying everything. So it's just part of the general demoralisation. And this was from the International Monetary Fund. Immigration can solve the demographic dilemma, but not without the right policies, it says. Well, at least it's given some qualification to that. Yeah, the discussion over immigration often pays insufficient attention to the Achilles heel of the global north, its demographics. What this article is saying is we need more babies in the country to keep the country going. But what it's not saying is that a lot of those babies are not going to contribute to keeping the country going. They're going to be a net drain because they don't like this country culturally. They are antagonistic towards the way we do things. So either we have to say we are not going to be able to keep the country going with the Indigenous people, so we're going to put our hands up, swallow the Kool-Aid and let African, North African, Middle Eastern, Asian or whatever, we're going to let them come in here and just duke it out among themselves so they can occupy our green and pleasant land and we'll just go away. Yeah, we can do that. We have to accept that we're going to be in low fertility societies, Professor Harper said. The idea that we're going to be able to replace ourselves by births alone, I really cannot see that coming back, says Professor Harper. So we have a choice here, don't we? Professor Harper is saying that we're not going to replace our demographics, so we've got to bring people in from cultures that have nothing to do with us, because basically that's what's going on. And we're going to have to let them take over the birth rate for us. And then what she is saying, in effect, is that our civilization is over. We should just give up and let another civilization take over the land. And you have to ask, is that worth the price? Or are we going to say, right, our population is low and we'll have to find ways of dealing with that? The Japanese are doing what they can with robots and things like that. We're probably thinking along the wrong lines anyway. Do we need such a big population? I mean, there was a time when you needed people to fill factories. You don't need people to fill. Have you seen the Tesla factory? It's not even importing parts. It just 3D prints them on the site. Maybe instead of investing millions in looking after semi-literate migrants, we should be investing millions in dealing with things like that, in starting industries that don't require that many people. I looked, and it looks like, for instance, here, back to the International Monetary Fund, they're thinking along these, what I would imagine to be 19th century lines. And I think it's these sorts of documents that are influencing our politicians. And they're not that bright to begin with by the looks of things. I just looked up, we need immigrants to keep the population going. And I just looked this up on Google, and look at all of this. Benefits of, this is for America and Australia, it's not just Britain. Benefits of immigration outweigh the costs. New data shows why US needs more immigrants. New census projections show immigration is essential. Bill Clinton says, yeah, right. The positive economic impact of the census show, well, this is all America, but there was BBC, why the country wants to bring in 1.5 million immigrants. It's all very well having 1.5 million immigrants, but if they're all men, they're not going to do much breeding. And judging by their educational levels, they're not going to do much working either. Still more room to grow, immigrants can, all of this. Facts not fair, how welcoming immigrants benefits you. No. These are all documents that land on the desks of the politicians, and they look at them and they get swayed by them. We've got to have immigrants. They don't seem to stop to think what having immigrants means. This means they are contemplating the fact that Britain will not be Britain in a generation. And they're saying, yeah, that'll keep the country going. But it won't be the country anymore. It won't be Britain. And they don't seem to be thinking along those lines. And we're getting to the point where we're having people writing that this piece of deathless art is hostile and provocative. We reached a fork in the road sometime maybe in the 70s or the 80s, and we took the wrong direction. And we really have to go back and take the right direction. And as I keep on saying, the right direction is to stop this immigration. It's not going to help our country. And start thinking of spending the money on tactics. And also start thinking of imbuing the people who are here with a feeling of patriotism for this country. Because when you like your country, you want to invest in it. And when you want to invest in it, you have more children, don't you? You feel more confident in the future. All the people, I know I'm aiming at a specific demographic in my videos, but so many of the people on my channel talk about how little confidence they have in the future of this country. Well, you're not going to have children when you're feeling like that. Okay, till next time, if there is a next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.